The trading post called Nexus Station floated in the empty space between three star systems. It was old, older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Millions of beings passed through its corridors every day. They came to buy and sell, to trade and bargain, to share news and spread rumors. If something happened anywhere in the galaxy, Nexus Station heard about it first. Do-Wan was a merchant. He had been born on a small human colony 30 years ago, and he had spent most of his life traveling between the stars. He bought things in one place and sold them in another. It was simple work, but it paid well. Do-Wan had seen many strange things in his travels. He had learned that the galaxy was full of wonders and horrors in equal measure. He was sitting in a bar on Nexus Station when he first heard about the Battle of New Sol, a group of Helix. Merchants were talking in low voices at a nearby table. Their scales were pale, which meant they were young. They looked scared. 42,000, one of them whispered. 42,000 dead in 11 hours. That is impossible, another said. The warrior caste cannot be defeated by primitives. They were defeated, the first one said. My cousin was there. He survived, but he will never fight again. He says the humans were like nothing he has ever seen. They did not fight with honor. They did not follow rules. They fought like animals. No, worse than animals. Animals stop when they are wounded. Humans do not stop. They never stop. Do-Wan listened quietly. He had heard about the battle, of course. Every human had. It was the first major victory for humanity against an established galactic power. People back home were celebrating. But Do-Wan had lived among aliens long enough to know that this was not just a victory. It was a message. And messages in the galaxy often led to trouble. He finished his drink and left the bar. As he walked through the crowded corridors of Nexus Station, he noticed something strange. People were looking at him differently. Aliens who had always ignored him now watched him with careful eyes. Some of them stepped aside when he approached. Others hurried away. Excuse me, Do-Wan said to a small furry creature who was selling electronic parts. Is something wrong? The creature looked up at him with wide eyes. You are human? Yes. The creature backed away slowly. Please do not hurt me. I have done nothing wrong. Do-Wan was confused. Why would I hurt you? Because that is what humans do, the creature said. You are killers. Everyone knows this now. Do-Wan tried to explain that he was just a merchant, that he had never hurt anyone in his life. But the creature would not listen. It packed up its goods and ran away, leaving Do-Wan standing alone in the corridor. Over the next few weeks, Do-Wan noticed the change spreading. Everywhere he went, aliens treated him differently. Some were afraid of him. Others were hostile. A few tried to befriend him, thinking that having a human ally would protect them. The galaxy had learned about New Sol, and the galaxy was scared. But the fear was not just about the battle. It was about what the battle meant. Do-Wan was in another bar, on another station, when he heard the full story. A group of traders from different species were arguing about humans. They had clearly been drinking for hours. The humans who fought at New Sol were not their best soldiers, one of them said. He was a tall being with blue skin and 3 eyes. They were conscripts, beginners. Their military calls them regular infantry. That cannot be true, another trader said. She had 4 arms and a face covered in tiny scales. No species sends beginners to fight a war. Humans do, the blue being said. I have a contact in the council. He showed me the report from Ambassador Yuna. The humans measure their soldiers in tiers. The ones at New Sol were Tier 1, the bottom. Above them are many more levels. How many levels? The 4-armed trader asked. No one knows for certain. But the report mentioned specialists, rangers, marines, and something called special operations. Each level is smaller than the one below, but more dangerous. The table fell silent. Dohan sat in his corner, pretending not to listen. But his heart was beating fast. He was human, and even he did not know much about his own military. He had grown up on a farming colony. The military was something distant, something that other people did. What makes the higher levels more dangerous? Someone asked. The blue being leaned forward. Training. The regular infantry train for 6 months. That is enough to make them deadlier than Helix warriors. The specialists train for 2 years. The rangers train for 3. The marines train for 4. And the special operations... He paused, his 3 eyes blinking nervously. The special operations train for 10 years or more. Some of them train their entire lives. They are selected from the best soldiers in all the other levels. Only 1 in 1,000 makes it through their selection process. Only 1 in 10,000 survives their training. The 4-armed traitor made a sound of disbelief. You are exaggerating. No species would waste resources like that. Humans would, the blue being said. They have been fighting each other for 10,000 years. They have had time to perfect the art of creating killers. Their special operations soldiers are not like regular beings. They are something else. Something the galaxy has never seen before. Dawan left the bar feeling strange. He had always known that humans were different from other species. Humans were tough, adaptable, stubborn. But he had never thought of them as dangerous. He had never thought of himself as part of a species that the galaxy should fear. He sent a message to his sister back on their home colony. She worked in the government, and she might know more about the military. Is it true? He wrote, Do we really have soldiers who train for 10 years? Her reply came 2 days later. Yes, it is true. But we do not call them soldiers. We call them operators. And 10 years is the minimum. Some of them train for 20 years before they are considered ready. The things they can do, I cannot tell you more. It is classified. But Dohan, please be careful. The galaxy is watching us now. They are afraid of what we might become. Dohan thought about her words as he traveled from station to station. Everywhere he went, he heard more rumors about humans. Some of them were true. Some of them were exaggerated. Some of them were completely false. But they all had one thing in common. They painted humans as the most dangerous species in the galaxy. He heard that human soldiers could survive in any environment. They could fight in deserts, in jungles, in frozen wastelands, in the vacuum of space. Their bodies were incredibly tough. They could lose limbs and keep fighting. They could be shot multiple times and refuse to die. They healed faster than any other known species. He heard that human soldiers never surrendered. It was not in their nature. They would fight until they won or until they were dead. There was no middle ground. Other species found this terrifying. Most beings in the galaxy understood that sometimes you had to retreat, had to surrender, had to live to fight another day. Humans did not seem to understand this concept. He heard that human soldiers were unpredictable. They did not follow the rules of war that most species accepted. They used deception and trickery. They attacked at night when honorable warriors rested. They pretended to be dead, then killed anyone who came close. They used their own wounded as bait. They would destroy entire cities rather than let an enemy capture them. But the most frightening rumor was about the human chain of command. In most species, soldiers followed orders from their leaders. If the leader died, the soldiers became confused and disorganized. This was normal. This was how war worked. But humans were different. Every human soldier was trained to take command if necessary. If an officer died, another soldier stepped up. If that soldier died, another took their place. You could kill every leader in a human unit, and the survivors would still organize themselves and keep fighting. They are like a disease, Do-hwan heard one alien say. You cannot kill them by cutting off the head. You have to burn every single cell. Do-hwan did not like what he was hearing. He was proud to be human, but he did not want other species to fear him. Fear led to hate. Hate led to war. And war meant death for everyone. He tried to explain this to the aliens he met. He tried to tell them that humans were not monsters. Most humans were ordinary people who just wanted to live in peace. They wanted families and homes and happiness, just like everyone else. The military was only a small part of human society, but the aliens did not want to hear this. They had seen the footage from New Seoul. They had seen human soldiers laughing as they fought. They had seen wounded humans dragging themselves forward to get one more kill. They had seen the Helix, the greatest warriors in the galaxy, broken and running in terror. You say most humans want peace, one alien told Do-hwan. But your peaceful species created those soldiers. Your peaceful society trains killers who can destroy entire armies. What does that say about you? Do-hwan had no answer. He had never thought about it that way before. The months passed, and the rumors grew wilder. Some species began to claim that humans were not natural. They said humans must have been engineered by some ancient civilization. How else could they be so deadly? Others said humans were touched by dark forces, that they had made deals with evil powers in exchange for their abilities. A few said humans were not really intelligent at all, that they were just very sophisticated animals who had learned to use tools. Ambassador Yuna had seen many species in her long career. She had walked on worlds made of crystal. She had spoken with beings made of pure light. She had negotiated peace between empires that had fought for 10,000 years. But she had never visited Earth before. Her ship entered the solar system on a bright morning, Earth time. From space, the planet looked small. It was blue and green and white, covered in water and clouds. Nothing special. Nothing that would make anyone look twice. Yuna checked her records again. This species had only left their planet 200 years ago. They were babies in galactic terms. The Galactic Council had millions of years of history. Humans had barely learned to walk among the stars. Ambassador, her assistant said, we are receiving a welcome signal from the human government. Yuna nodded. Tell them we accept their greeting. We will land at the coordinates they provide. The ship descended through the clouds. Yuna watched through the window as cities appeared below. They were dense and crowded, nothing like the elegant spires of her homeworld. Human buildings were blocky and functional. Their roads were filled with vehicles that still used wheels. Yuna felt a small smile cross her face. These creatures were so young, so primitive. The council had sent her because they wanted someone experienced, someone who could handle a new species with patience and care. The ship landed in a large open area surrounded by human soldiers. Yuna studied them through the window. They stood in neat rows, holding weapons that looked almost comical. Chemical propellants. Projectile weapons. The galaxy had moved past such things thousands of years ago. Energy weapons were cleaner, more efficient, more deadly. But humans still shot metal at each other. Yuna stepped off the ship and was greeted by a human male. He was tall, with dark hair and a serious face. He wore a uniform covered in symbols she did not recognize. Ambassador Yuna, he said. I am General Woojin. Welcome to Earth. Yuna bowed her head slightly. Thank you, General. I bring greetings from the Galactic Council. We are pleased to make formal contact with your species. General Woojin smiled, but his eyes remained hard. We are pleased as well. Though I must admit, we were surprised when your ships first appeared in our system. We thought we were alone. Many species feel that way, Yuna said. The galaxy is vast. It is easy to feel small. They walked together through the landing area. Yuna noticed that the human soldiers watched her with curious eyes. Some of them looked afraid. Others looked excited. A few looked like they wanted to fight her. She had seen that look before on many worlds. Young species were often aggressive. It was natural. They would learn, in time, that the galaxy was too big for war. The negotiations took several weeks. Yuna met with human leaders from all over the planet. She was surprised to learn that humans did not have one government. They had hundreds. They argued with each other constantly. They fought wars among themselves even now, even as they reached for the stars. Yuna found this strange. Most species unified their world before they left it. Humans had not. You are a divided people, Yuna said to General Wujin one evening. The general laughed. We have always been divided. It is our nature. We fight each other over land, over resources, over ideas. Sometimes we fight just because we are bored. Yuna frowned. That seems wasteful. Perhaps, Wujin said. But it has also made us strong. We have been fighting since we climbed down from the trees. Every generation, we get better at it. Yuna did not understand what he meant, but she filed his words away in her memory. They seemed important. Somehow, the trouble began 3 months after first contact. A human colony ship had been exploring the outer edges of council space. They had landed on a small moon to collect water and minerals. They did not know that the moon belonged to the Helix Dominion. The Helix were an old species. They had been part of the galaxy for 50,000 years. They were proud warriors, bred for combat across hundreds of generations. Their bodies were tall and powerful, covered in hard scales that could stop most weapons. Their claws could cut through metal. Their eyes could see in complete darkness. The Helix believed that strength was the only thing that mattered. They had conquered dozens of species. They had never lost a war. When the Helix found humans on their moon, they did not ask questions. They attacked immediately. The colony ship was destroyed. 300 humans died in minutes. Yuna heard the news with a heavy heart. She had hoped to avoid this. Young species often stumbled into conflicts they did not understand. The galaxy was full of old grudges and hidden borders. She contacted the Helix ambassador and requested a meeting. The humans did not know, Yuna explained. They are new to the galaxy. They made a mistake. The Helix ambassador was a massive creature named Korthax. His scales were dark red, the color of dried blood. He looked at Yuna with contempt. Ignorance is not an excuse, Korthax said. They entered our territory. They took our resources. They must be punished. They lost 300 people, Yuna said. Is that not punishment enough? Korthax laughed. It was an ugly sound. That was not punishment. That was a greeting. We will show them what real punishment looks like. The Helix sent a fleet to the human border. 50 warships, each one carrying 1,000 warriors. They planned to attack a human colony called New Sol. It was a small world, home to only 2 million people. The Helix expected to destroy it in a day. They expected the humans to beg for mercy. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. Earth received news of the coming attack 7 days before the Helix arrived. Yuna watched as the human government responded. She expected panic. She expected chaos. Instead, she saw something she had never seen before. The humans became calm. They became focused. They stopped arguing with each other. For the first time since Yuna had arrived, they moved as one. We are sending a response force, General Wujin told her. They will arrive at New Sol before the Helix. Yuna was confused. What kind of force? The Helix have 50 warships. They have 50,000 warriors. What can you send that will stop them? Wujin smiled. We are sending regular infantry. About 10,000 soldiers. Regular infantry? Yuna did not understand the term. Our basic soldiers, Wujin explained. They have 6 months of training. Standard equipment. Nothing special. Yuna felt fear rise in her chest. General, you cannot be serious. The Helix warrior caste has been bred for combat for 300 generations. They are among the most feared fighters in the galaxy. Your regular soldiers will be slaughtered. Wujin's smile did not change. We will see. The Battle of New Seoul lasted 11 hours. Yuna watched the reports come in from her ship in orbit. At first, she could not believe what she was seeing. The Helix had landed their forces on the planet's surface. They had expected to sweep through the human defenses like water through sand. Instead, they found something different. The human soldiers did not fight like the other species the Helix had conquered. They did not stand in neat formations. They did not follow predictable patterns. They hid in buildings and tunnels. They attacked from shadows. They used traps and tricks and deceptions. They fought dirty. The first wave of Helix warriors walked into a city that seemed empty. They thought the humans had fled. Then the buildings exploded. The humans had filled them with bombs. 3,000 Helix died in the first 5 minutes. The second wave was more careful. They moved slowly, checking every corner. But the humans were patient. They waited until the Helix were deep inside the city. Then they attacked from everywhere at once. Human soldiers appeared on rooftops, in windows, from underground. They fired their primitive projectile weapons, and Helix warriors fell. Korthax watched from his command ship in orbit. He could not understand what he was seeing. His warriors were stronger, faster, better equipped. They should have been winning easily. But the humans would not stop fighting. Every time a Helix killed one human soldier, 2 more appeared. They were like insects, crawling out of every hole and crack. Send more warriors, Korthax ordered. Send all of them. But more warriors did not help. The humans adapted to everything the Helix tried. When the Helix used heavy weapons, the humans went underground. When the Helix followed them underground, the humans collapsed the tunnels on top of them. When the Helix tried to retreat, the humans pursued. They gave the Helix no rest, no peace, no moment to breathe. By the 8th hour, the Helix had lost 30,000 warriors. Korthax could not believe the numbers. His people had fought for 50,000 years. They had never lost so many in a single battle. And they were losing to creatures who had only been in space for 200 years. Creatures who still use projectile weapons. Creatures who were supposed to be primitive. By the 10th hour, the surviving Helix warriors refused to fight. They had seen too many of their brothers die. They had seen humans do impossible things. They had seen wounded humans continue fighting. They had seen humans sacrifice themselves to take out Helix positions. They had seen humans smile while they died, as long as they took an enemy with them. What are these creatures? One Helix warrior asked before he was killed. What are they? The battle ended in the 11th hour. The Helix retreated. They left 42,000 dead on the surface of New Seoul. The humans had lost 6,000. It was a victory that should have been impossible. Yuna's hands trembled as she wrote her report. She had watched. The Galactic Council chamber was the largest enclosed space in the known galaxy. It could hold representatives from 10,000 species at once. Its ceiling was so high that clouds sometimes formed inside. Its walls were covered with the flags and symbols of civilizations that had joined the council over millions of years. It was a place of power, of history, of importance. Today, it was a place of fear. Delegate Taiwu stood at the central podium, looking out at the assembled representatives. He was Earth's voice in the council, a position he had held for only 2 years. Before the Battle of New Seoul, nobody had paid much attention to him. Humanity was new. Humanity was unimportant. Humanity was a minor species that would take thousands of years to matter. Everything had changed. Now, when Taiwu spoke, the entire chamber fell silent. Every eye, every sensor, every attention-focusing organ was fixed on him. They watched him like prey animals watch a predator, trying to predict what he would do next. "Thank you for allowing me to address this emergency session," Taiwu said. His voice was calm, professional. He had practiced this speech many times. "I understand that many of you have concerns about recent events. I am here to answer your questions and provide clarity." A delegate from the Helix Dominion rose first. His scales were bright red, marking him as a member of the warrior caste. But his posture was different from what Taiwu had expected. He did not stand tall and proud. He hunched slightly, as if expecting an attack. "Your species killed 42,000 of our finest warriors," the Helix delegate said. "With conscripts. With beginners. How is this possible?" Taiwu had prepared for this question. The soldiers at New Seoul were regular infantry, as we have stated. They had 6 months of training. They were equipped with standard weapons. There was nothing special about them. "That is not an answer," the Helix delegate said. "That is a contradiction. Regular soldiers did not defeat the Helix warrior caste." "With respect," Taiwu said, "your warrior caste had never fought humans before. You had no experience with our tactics, our equipment, or our mindset. You expected us to fight like other species. We do not. Then how do you fight?" Taiwu considered his response carefully. He did not want to frighten the council more than necessary. But he also could not lie. Humanity's reputation now depended on being honest about their capabilities. "Humans evolved on a dangerous world," he said. "We were not the fastest animals, or the strongest, or the most armored. We survived by being smart, by working together, and by never giving up. Those traits became part of our nature. When we fight, we use every advantage we can find. We adapt to any situation. We do not stop until the fight is over." The chamber murmured with unease. The delegate from the Varn Collective stood up. She was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. She did not look angry. She looked terrified. "We sent 1,000,000 soldiers to Kova Prime," she said. 12 of your soldiers destroyed our siege and killed War Master Vulcan. 12. How do you explain this?" Taiwu nodded slowly. The soldiers at Kova Prime were not regular infantry. They were a special operations unit. Elite forces. What is the difference? Regular infantry train for 6 months. Elite forces train for 10 to 20 years. They are selected from the best soldiers in our military. They undergo training that most humans could not survive. They are exceptional. Exceptional enough to kill 100,000 Varn warriors? Yes. The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted questions, accusations, demands. The moderator tried to restore order, but nobody was listening. Fear had taken hold. A small delegate from a species Taiwu did not recognize floated up to a speaking position. It was a cloud of glowing particles that somehow formed words. "You say your elite forces train for 20 years, the particle being said. How many of these elite soldiers does Earth have?" This was the question Taiwu had dreaded. He looked at the council, at the thousands of delegates who waited for his answer. He knew that whatever he said would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. "That information is classified," he said. The chamber exploded again. "Classified?" Someone shouted. "You cannot hide this from us. We have a right to know." Taiwu raised his hand for silence. Surprisingly, the chamber quieted. They were afraid of him, he realized. Afraid of what he represented. "I will tell you what I can," he said. "Earth's population is approximately 15 billion. Of those, roughly 50 million serve in our military in some capacity. The vast majority are support personnel, not combat soldiers. Our regular infantry numbers approximately 10 million. Our specialized forces, which include Marines, Rangers, and similar units, number approximately 500,000. He paused. The chamber was completely silent now. Our elite forces, the special operations units, number approximately 50,000. 50,000. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. The Varn had lost nearly that many to just 12 operators. If Earth had 50,000 more, you could destroy us, the Varn delegate whispered. You could destroy all of us. Taiwu shook his head. We have no desire to destroy anyone. Earth has never started a war with any galactic species. We only defend ourselves and those who ask for our help. We are not conquerors. Not yet. Someone muttered. An elderly delegate from one of the oldest species in the galaxy rose slowly. Her name was Elder Moonpath, and she had served on the council for 3,000 years. When she spoke, everyone listened. Young human, she said, I have watched species rise and fall for longer than your entire civilization has existed. I have seen empires build themselves on promises of peace, only to become the greatest threats the galaxy has ever known. How can you assure us that Earth will not follow the same path? Taiwu met her eyes. I cannot, he admitted. I cannot predict what humanity will do in 1,000 years, or 100, or even 10. All I can tell you is what we are now. We are a species that has spent its entire history fighting itself. We know war better than most species know peace. And because we know it so well, we hate it. We have seen what war does. We have buried our children, our parents, our friends. We do not want to bring that suffering to others. But you will defend yourselves, Elder Moonpath said. Always. And those who ask for your help? Them too. Elder Moonpath was silent for a long moment. Then she turned to address the entire chamber. I believe the human speaks truthfully, she said. But the truth does not change our situation. We now know that humanity possesses military capabilities beyond what we imagined. Regular human soldiers can defeat elite warriors from established species. Human special forces can destroy armies. And we do not know what else humans might be capable of. She paused, letting her words sink in. We have two choices. We can treat humanity as a threat and attempt to destroy them before they become too powerful. Or we can treat humanity as a potential ally and integrate them into the galactic community. I believe the first option would be suicide. Even if we united every fleet in the galaxy, I am not confident we could defeat Earth. The cost would be beyond calculation. What about the second option? Someone asked. The second option is risky as well. We would be betting our future on human goodwill. But I believe it is the safer choice. Humans have shown that they will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. They defended Cova Prime when no one else would. That suggests they have a moral code, a sense of justice. We should encourage those qualities, not threaten them. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates argued for immediate action against Earth. Others agreed with Elder Moonpath. A few suggested trying to steal human military technology. That idea was quickly abandoned when someone pointed out that attempting to spy on Earth would probably be considered an act of war. In the end, the council voted. The result was not even close. By a margin of 93%, the Galactic Council agreed to pursue peaceful integration with humanity, but the vote did not ease the fear. It could not. The galaxy now knew what humans were capable of. And that knowledge would never go away. In the months that followed, things changed rapidly. Species that had ignored Earth now sent ambassadors. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges were arranged. Humans began appearing on worlds where they had never been seen before. Some species went further. They requested military alliances with Earth. They wanted human soldiers stationed on their worlds, protecting them from potential threats. The requests came from small, vulnerable species who had always lived in fear of their larger neighbors. Now they saw a chance to be safe. Earth accepted some of these requests carefully. They did not want to spread their forces too thin. They did not want to become the galaxy's police force. But they also could not refuse everyone. They had a reputation now. They had a responsibility. Taiwo returned to Earth after the council session. He met with the leaders of the human government to report on what had happened. "They are terrified of us," he said. "Even the ones who voted for peaceful relations. They look at us like we are monsters." General Wujin, who had been promoted several times since first contact, nodded slowly. "That is understandable. We showed them something they had never seen before. It will take time for them to adjust. Will they ever stop being afraid?" The Galactic Council tried to calm things down. They released statements saying that humans we Commander Jisoo checked her equipment one last time. Everything was in place. Weapons, ammunition, medical supplies, communication devices, explosives. She had done this check 1,000 times before. It was automatic now, like breathing. Her hands moved without thinking, touching each item, confirming its position. Around her, 11 other soldiers did the same thing. They sat in the small transport ship, silent and focused. Nobody spoke. There was nothing to say. They all knew the mission. They all knew the risks. They had trained for this moment for 15 years. Jisoo looked at her team. She knew each of them better than she knew her own family. Hyunwoo sat across from her, his eyes closed, his breathing slow and steady. He was the team's sniper, capable of hitting a target from 3 kilometers away. Next to him was Minji, the explosives expert. She could destroy a building with a device no bigger than her thumb. Then there was Junho, the medic, who had saved more lives than Jisoo could count. And Suyang, the infiltration specialist, who could get into any building, any system, any place that was supposed to be secure. The rest of the team was equally skilled. Taeyang handled heavy weapons. Yoonji was their communications expert. Dongwook specialized in hand-to-hand combat. Hana was the pilot who would get them in and out. Seungho handled intelligence and planning. Yuri was their language specialist, fluent in 47 alien languages. And Jinwoo was the youngest, but already one of the deadliest close-quarters fighters Jisoo had ever seen. 12 soldiers. 12 of Earth's finest. They called themselves the Ghost Unit, and they had never failed a mission. The transport ship approached Kova Prime through the debris field that surrounded the planet. The Varn had been bombarding the surface for 3 days. Cities were burning. Millions of people were dead or dying. The Varn fleet hung in orbit like a wall of metal and fire, blocking any escape. "We are entering sensor range," Hana said from the cockpit. "The Varn have not detected us yet." "Keep us hidden," Jisoo ordered. "We need to reach the surface unnoticed." The transport ship was small and fast, designed for exactly this kind of mission. It had been painted with materials that absorbed sensor signals. To the Varn, it would look like just another piece of debris falling toward the planet. They entered the atmosphere and descended, through clouds of smoke and ash. Below them, Jisoo could see the capital city of Kova Prime. It was still standing barely. The Varn had surrounded it with their ground forces, but they had not attacked yet. They wanted the city intact. They wanted to capture the government and force a surrender. The Varn did not know that surrender was no longer an option. Earth had answered the call for help. And Earth had sent the Ghost Unit. The transport landed in a ruined area on the outskirts of the city. The team moved quickly, covering ground with practiced efficiency. They did not run, but they did not walk either. They flowed like water, using every shadow, every piece of cover. A normal person would not have seen them pass. They were invisible. Jisoo established contact with the Covert Prime resistance. There were still people fighting, civilians who had picked up weapons and refused to surrender. They were brave, but they were not soldiers. They did not know how to fight a war. They were dying. "We are here to help," Jisoo told their leader, a young woman named something that translated roughly to bright sky. "But you need to follow our instructions exactly. Can you do that?" Bright Sky looked at the 12 human soldiers. Her eyes were tired and red from crying. She had lost her family in the first bombardment. She had nothing left except to fight. 12, she said. "You sent 12 soldiers against 1,000,000 Varn?" 12 is enough, Jisoo said. Bright Sky laughed. It was not a happy sound. "You are either very brave or very stupid." "Maybe both," Jisoo admitted. "Now, tell me everything you know about the Varn positions." The planning took 4 hours. Jisoo gathered every piece of information she could find. Varn patrol patterns, supply lines, communication networks, command structures. She built a map in her mind, seeing the battlefield like a puzzle. Every puzzle had a solution. She just had to find it. "Their fleet is the key," she said finally. "As long as those ships are in orbit, they can bombard any position we hold. We need to neutralize the fleet." "How?" Hyunwoo asked. "We do not have ships. We do not have anti-orbital weapons. We do not need them," Jisoo said. She pointed to the map. "The Varn fleet commander is on the lead ship. According to our intelligence, his name is War Master Vulcan. He is a traditionalist. He believes in personal honor. He will not destroy the city while he still has a chance to capture it intact. So we need to keep him thinking he can win," Minji said. "Exactly. We draw out the siege. We make the Varn ground forces suffer. We hurt them so badly that Vulcan has to come down personally to see what is happening. And when he does..." Jisoo did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. Everyone understood. The operation began at midnight, local time. The Varn did not expect an attack. They had 1,000,000 soldiers surrounding a city defended by frightened civilians. What was there to fear? They learned quickly. Hyunwoo set up his position on a collapsed building 3 kilometers from the Varn command post. He had a clear line of sight to the main entrance. He waited, patient as stone, until the Varn general stepped outside for his nightly inspection. The shot was perfect. The general's head exploded before anyone heard the sound. The Varn soldiers panicked. They fired in every direction, hitting nothing but shadows. By the time they organized the search, Hyunwoo was already gone. 1 hour later, Minji destroyed a Varn ammunition depot. The explosion was massive, visible from orbit. Secondary explosions continued for 20 minutes as stored weapons cooked off. 3,000 Varn soldiers died. The survivors could not understand what had happened. The depot had been secured. There had been guards everywhere. How had someone gotten inside? 2 hours after that, Dongwook infiltrated a Varn barracks and killed 40 soldiers in their sleep. He used only a knife. He did not make a sound. The Varn found the bodies in the morning. Some of them thought it was a disease at first. How could one person kill so many without anyone noticing? The attacks continued through the night and into the next day. Every time the Varn thought they were safe, someone died. Their officers were picked off by sniper fire. Their vehicles exploded without warning. Their communications were jammed and disrupted. Their patrols disappeared and were found later, dead to the last soldier. The Varn commander on the ground sent frantic messages to the fleet. "We are under attack. We need reinforcements." War Master Vulcan responded with confusion. "Under attack by whom?" Our sensors show no military forces on the planet. We do not know. They are ghosts. We cannot see them. We cannot find them. We cannot stop them. Vakin did not believe it at first. But the reports kept coming. Losses mounted. In 48 hours, the Vaughn lost 50,000 soldiers. Not in a battle, but in 1,000 small attacks. Death by 1,000 cuts. On the third day, Vakin made the decision Jisoo had been waiting for. He ordered his personal shuttle to prepare for descent. He would go to the surface himself and take command. He would find these ghosts and destroy them. Jisoo smiled when she received the intelligence. The trap was set. Vakin landed with his personal guard, 500 of the best Varm warriors. They wore the heaviest armor, carried the most powerful weapons. They were loyal unto death. They lasted 17 minutes. The attack came from everywhere at once. Yoonji had hacked into the Varn communication network. She broadcast false orders, sending units in the wrong directions. Minji had planted explosives along every escape route. Hyunwoo was in position on our rooftop, his rifle ready. Soo-young had infiltrated the landing site hours before, planting sensors and markers. When Vakin's shuttle touched down, everything was ready. The first explosion killed 100 guards. The second killed another 100. The survivors formed a defensive circle around Vakin, but there was no defense against an enemy. They could not see. Hyunwoo began firing. Every shot found its target. Vaughn warriors fell one after another. They tried to shoot back, but Hyunwoo moved after every shot, never staying in the same place twice. Dongwook and Jinwoo moved through the chaos like shadows. They appeared beside Vaughn warriors, killed them, and disappeared before anyone could react. The Vaughn were trained fighters, but they had never faced anything like this. These humans moved too fast, hit too hard, seemed to know exactly where every warrior would be. Vakin watched his guards die around him. He was old, a veteran of 100 campaigns. He had never felt fear before. He felt it now. "What are you?" He screamed into the smoke and fire. "What kind of creatures are you?" Jisoo appeared in front of him. She had moved through the battlefield without being touched, without being seen. She stood before the War Master of the Vaughn Collective, calm and steady. "We are human," she said. "We are what happens when a species spends 10,000 years learning how to kill." Vakin reached for his weapon, but Jisoo was faster. She moved in a blur, and suddenly her knife was at his throat. "Your fleet will leave this system," Jisoo said. "Your soldiers will withdraw from Kova Prime. You will never return. Do you understand?" "You cannot defeat my fleet," Vakin said. "Even if you kill me, they will destroy this planet." "If why?" "Probably not. But fear is not always bad. It keeps people careful. It prevents mistakes. As long as we do not give them a reason to attack us, their fear will keep the peace. And if we do give the 5 years had passed since the siege of Kova Prime. 5 years since the galaxy learned to fear humanity. 5 years of change, of growth, of slow and careful integration. Ambassador Yuna stood on a balcony overlooking the city of Seoul. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The city stretched out before her, millions of lights beginning to flicker on as darkness fell. It was beautiful in a way that alien cities never quite managed. Human cities were messy and chaotic, but they were also alive. They pulsed with energy that Yuna could feel in her bones. She had spent most of the past 5 years on Earth. It had been her choice. After the Battle of New Seoul, she had requested a permanent posting as the Council's representative to humanity. Many had thought she was crazy. Why would anyone want to live among the most dangerous species in the galaxy? But Yuna had her reasons. She wanted to understand. The door behind her opened, and Commander Jisoo stepped out onto the balcony. She was older now, with gray streaking her black hair. She had retired from active service 2 years ago, though Yuna suspected she could still fight better than most soldiers half her age. She moved with the quiet grace that Yuna had learned to associate with human special forces. Even in civilian clothes, she looked dangerous. "Ambassador," Jisoo said. "Thank you for meeting with me." "Thank you for accepting my invitation," Yuna replied. "I have wanted to speak with you for a long time." Jisoo leaned against the balcony railing, looking out at the city. "The Council has many questions about human military capabilities. I am probably not the best person to answer them." "I do not want to ask about capabilities," Yuna said. "I want to ask about something else." Jisoo raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" Yuna turned to face her. "I have studied humans for 5 years. I have read your history, your literature, your philosophy. I have spoken with your soldiers, your scientists, your artists. I have tried to understand what makes you different from other species. And I think I finally know. What is your conclusion? Humans are not stronger than other species. You are not faster or smarter or more technologically advanced. Your bodies are actually quite fragile compared to many galactic species. Your senses are limited. Your lifespans are short. By most measures, you should be one of the weakest species in the galaxy." Jisoo smiled slightly. And yet you are the most feared warriors any of us have ever encountered. Your regular soldiers defeat elite warriors. Your special forces are considered unstoppable. The entire galaxy is afraid of what you might do if you ever decided to use your full strength. Is that a question? Yes. Yuna stepped closer to Jisoo, looking up at the human woman. What makes your elite forces different? I do not mean training or equipment. I mean the thing that makes them what they are. The thing that the galaxy does not understand. Jisoo was quiet for a long moment. She seemed to be thinking about her answer, choosing her words carefully. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. "There is no secret," she said. "There is no genetic enhancement, no special technology, no hidden power. Our elite forces are just regular humans who refuse to stop." "I do not understand." Jisoo turned to face Yuna directly. "Every species in the galaxy has warriors. They are chosen for their strength, their speed, their natural abilities. They are the best that nature has to offer. They are born special. Yes, that is how it works. Humans are different. We do not believe in natural talent. We believe in work. Our elite forces are not the strongest humans, or the fastest, or the most naturally gifted. They are the ones who refuse to give up. They are the ones who kept training when everyone else quit. They are the ones who failed 100 times and came back 101. Jisoo looked back at the city. "I was not born a warrior. I was a small child, sick often, weak. I could not run as fast as the other children. I could not fight as well. Everyone told me I would never be a soldier. Everyone told me to give up, but you did not give up. No, I trained harder. When I failed, I tried again. When I was hurt, I healed and came back. When I wanted to quit, I did not. I kept going year after year, decade after decade. And eventually, I became what you see now. Not because I was special, because I was stubborn." Yuna considered this. It was such a simple explanation, almost disappointingly simple. And yet, the more she thought about it, the more she understood. The galaxy's greatest warriors were shaped by genetics and technology. They were born with advantages that made them better than ordinary beings. But those advantages had limits. There was only so much that biology could do. Human elites were different. They were not limited by what they were born with. They were limited only by what they were willing to endure. And humans, it seemed, were willing to endure almost anything. The Helix warrior caste is bred for combat for 300 generations, Yuna said slowly. They are born with faster reflexes, stronger muscles, harder scales. They are superior to regular Helix in every measurable way. Yes, but at New Sol, regular human soldiers defeated them. Yes, because our regular soldiers had been training for 6 months to do one thing: fight and win. They did not have better bodies. They did not have better weapons. They had better focus, better determination, better will. Jisoo turned back to Yuna. The Helix warrior caste knows they are born superior. They believe their victory is guaranteed by their blood. They fight until the fight becomes hard, and then they expect the enemy to surrender. That is how war works for them. And for humans? For humans, the fight becoming hard is when the real fighting begins. We do not surrender. We do not give up. We find a way to win, or we die trying. There is no middle ground. Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. She had seen the footage from New Sol, from Kova Prime, from a dozen other engagements over the past 5 years. She had seen human soldiers fight through wounds that would kill most species. She had seen them sacrifice themselves to take out enemy positions. She had seen them smile in the face of death. She had thought it was madness. Now she understood it was something else entirely. Will, she said. Your greatest weapon is will. Yes. Jisoo's voice was quiet, almost sad. We have spent 10,000 years fighting each other. Every war, we got better. Every battle, we learned more. We learned that the side with the strongest will usually wins. Not the side with the best weapons, or the most soldiers, or the greatest advantages. The side that refuses to give up. That is why your elite forces are so dangerous. Our elite forces are humans who have dedicated their entire lives to one thing: winning. They have been tested in every way possible. They have faced death 1,000 times and chosen to keep fighting. They have broken their bodies and their minds and put themselves back together again. They have given up everything except the will to win. Jisoo looked at Yuna with eyes that had seen too much. The galaxy's greatest warriors are shaped by genetics and technology. Human elites are forged by pure, relentless will. That is the difference. That is what makes us dangerous. Yuna was silent for a long time. The sun had fully set now, and the city was a sea of lights below them. She thought about everything she had learned, everything she had seen, everything she had struggled to understand. I came to Earth expecting to find monsters, she said finally. I expected to find a species that was inherently violent, inherently dangerous. I thought your strength came from some dark place, some flaw in your nature. And what did you find? I found something worse. Yuna laughed softly. I found a species that became dangerous because they had to be. You were not the strongest animals on your world. You were not the fastest or most deadly. You survived because you refused to die. You became the dominant species on your planet because you never gave up, no matter how many times you failed. That sounds like a compliment. It is terrifying, Yuna said. Other species can be defeated by destroying their advantages. If you kill the Helix warrior caste, the rest of the Helix are not a threat. If you destroy the Varn fleet, the Varn cannot fight. But humans, you have no single advantage to destroy. Your strength is spread through every individual. Every human is capable of becoming what you became. Yes, the galaxy cannot fight that. The galaxy cannot defeat a species where any individual might be the one who refuses to stop. Jisoo nodded slowly. Now you understand. Yuna turned to look at the city again. Millions of humans lived down there. Ordinary humans, living ordinary lives. They were not soldiers. They were not warriors. They were just people going to work, raising families, pursuing happiness. But every single one of them carried the same potential. Every single one of them could be forged into something that the galaxy feared. All it took was enough pressure, enough determination. I will include this in my report to the council, Una said. I do not know if they will believe me. It is so simple. Too simple. They will expect some secret, some technology, some trick. There is no trick, Jisoo said. There is only the truth. Humans became what we are because we had no other choice. We were weak, so we became clever. We were slow, so we became patient. We were fragile, so we became stubborn. Evolution did not favor our bodies. It favored our